when we get a more diverse group, that means Republicans, Democrats, independents, people with diverse backgrounds coming together, we're much better at solving problems.
Welcome back to Square Off. That was Mark Kelly after his victory speech Saturday. So we were expecting a red wave. Republicans predicted it. Analysts predicted it. Never hit Arizona or the rest of the country. Republicans are pointing fingers at Donald Trump's role in the election. Democrats have racked up 2 historic victories in Arizona. How did that happen? And is Arizona Donald Trump's last stand? Joining us now, our political insiders, Stacy Pearson, co-founder of the Democratic consulting firm Lumen Strategies, and Paul Bentz, a Republican and chief pollster at Highground Consulting. Welcome back to Square Off.
Thanks for having us.
As usual, I'll ask for disclosures. Are you working connected to any campaigns we're going to talk about today?
Not at all.
Nope. Terrific. Let's start with Democrat Adrian Fontes' victory in the Secretary of State race and Senator Kelly's re-election. Stacy, what do their victories tell us about what voters are thinking, how they looked at these races?
I think sanity prevailed across the ticket. The folks with experience that did not have tinfoil hats on, that did not think laser beams were changing voting machines and tabulators, prevailed. And it's good for Arizona, it's good for democracy, it's good for our economic development, it's good for everything.
Okay, Paul?
Well, I call it the 60 Minutes effect. After the 60 Minutes thing aired about Fincham was the only one in our last polling that didn't get more than half of the 65 and older vote. I think voters still pay very much attention, and I think the security and the integrity of our elections was a really big deal, more than people let on.
So that 60 Minutes story on Fincham had a huge impact, you think?
I think that combined with the additional media coverage and the late push to really emphasize what Fincham was all about really did make a big difference with some of these audiences.
I want to go to a surprising data point. All the Republican Trump-endorsed candidates trailed their Democratic opponents, but here's the surprise. Here in Maricopa County, they are all underperforming.
Right.
Republicans, Kari Lake is 25,000 votes behind Republican County Attorney Rachel Mitchell. Paul, you're the numbers guy. What is going on?
Well, it speaks to a couple of things. Maricopa County is still a red county. I think it's important to note that. I also think that the quality of the candidate matters. When you look at Julie Gunnigal as a candidate compared to Katie Hobbs as a candidate, Katie Hobbs is a much stronger candidate than Julie Gunnigal. I think those two things are at play, but it really does speak to we have discerning voters here in Maricopa County that can pick and choose, and they will. The 195,000 voted for both Doug Ducey and Kyrsten Sinema. We're seeing some of those voters make that choice again.
It might be a red county, but every Democratic candidate is outperforming Joe Biden, who was +2 in Maricopa County. Adrian Fontes was +10.
Yeah, I mean, that's incredibly shocking. I think it does speak to sort of the challenges that these candidates face going into the closeout here.
So as we head into the closeout, which could come in the next day or two, is this Donald Trump's last stand if a bunch of these candidates, Republicans, go down?
Oh, we could only be so lucky. It certainly is the end of criticizing our election system and telling your base not to vote in advance. I mean, the strategy on that Republican side is baffling.
Which races should we be watching right now?
I think the governor's race is the absolute incredibly race to watch. I think we saw, you mentioned it earlier, Kari Lake needs 56% of all remaining votes in order to catch up. But that's 56% of Maricopa County, Pima County, the out counties. She obviously won't get it in southern Arizona, so that makes the Maricopa County number higher. That's the real numbers that we're watching. This big batch tonight will be very telling.
It will be, won't it? And Republicans keep expecting a pot of gold out there in Maricopa County. They say, oh, we got votes in Gilbert and Mesa and Santan that are going to come in for us and vault us into the lead. Is that a fantasy?
I think that's wildly insane.
Yeah. Wildly insane.
It's just
so beyond fantasy.
We're not going to see a reversal like that.
Paul?
Well, I mean, I got a lot of criticism for saying that last night was a good night for Kari Lake. She got 52% of the vote out of Maricopa. It was the first time she had won the day since election night, those drop-off, the people who showed up at the polls. They need a pretty big night tonight, and I don't know why they've said, oh, we're going to get 70%, we're going to get 80%. They've established something that's basically unachievable. She needs 56%. If she can achieve that, she's got a shot. If she doesn't do it tonight, it's pretty much over.
And what interested me, among many things Bill Gates said, was that the so-called Box 3 ballots, 17,000 of them, are virtually all counted. They're out there already, so they can't count on that anymore.
Exactly.
And that I guess that helped in some way, but we don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Want to end with this down ballot. What are you watching?
Oh, Prop 132 is the one I'm keeping my eye on. Creates a supermajority for almost all future direct democracy initiatives, and it's going to pass or fail by the slimmest of margins. We're talking 10, 20,000 votes.
So that's one of those initiatives where voters are deciding whether they're going to have the power to make law at the ballot box. Kind of a weird vote there. Which one
I'm watching Congressional District 1. Jevin Hodge is still up by 1,000 votes, which is very shocking at this point. Democrats, I think, long-term thought that district would be competitive. I don't think they thought it would be competitive this quickly.
And this is the second consecutive race where Jevin Hodge, who not many folks know about, is in contention until the very last minute, the county board race.
Yeah, in the supervisor race in 2020, very similar result. I do suspect that these Republican drops will help Schweikert, just like they helped Sellers last time, but we'll have to wait and see.
All right, Paul Bentz, Stacy Pearson, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
And that's our show for this week. Thanks very much to all of our guests. Thank you so much for joining us. Stay with us every night for continuing coverage of those Maricopa County ballot drops. And we'll see you back here next weekend for another round of Sunday Square Off.